Why do gratitude and generosity matter? Each year as Americans, we celebrate a civil holiday of Thanksgiving, which is a great feast from a Christian point of view, and not just because I like turkey. Thanksgiving is a great feast and a great civil celebration because as Christians, it's very important for us to have gratitude. Gratitude always orientates us towards another. Gratitude always orientates us towards another. If there's gratitude, that means there's a giver and a receiver. Now, as human beings, we are always receivers. We're always receiving from the God who loves us so much. And so we're called to live lives of continual gratitude. As Christians, we're always called to making thanksgiving back to God through gifts of ourself, whether that gift of ourself is in our prayer time, our going to Sunday Mass, or that gift of ourself is to the poor or to some work of the church. We're always called to be grateful to God. See, if God is the giver and we're the receiver, it means that even though we might possess things here on earth and we have a right to private property, in fact, side note, private property is part of our human dignity. Having private property and the ability to produce and maintain wealth and things like that are something that protects your individual private rights. But that ability to protect and produce wealth, to protect your private rights, should not come at the expense of the needs of your neighbor. So we have to be grateful. That's why we use the word stewardship as Christians. Stewardship means that while you have something and you possess it, it still belongs to someone else, and you will be called to make an accounting of your stewardship. How well did I use, how well did I steward, how well did I care for what was given to me? So with Thanksgiving each year, as Americans, we need to remember not just to be thankful for what we have to God in this one-day moment, but to practice that thanksgiving in a regular way. Now, of course, to God, we practice that through the Sunday Mass. To our neighbor, we practice that through our tithing. The Bible talks about the tithe as giving 10% of your income. We talk about income as the money, your salary, your wages, and what you receive. And even if you're a college student, you still receive some sort of income, and you should be giving from it. Yes, even now. You say you're poor, but I've seen how often you go to Taco Bell or other places like that. Now, we need to be generous. We need to be generous. That generosity isn't just because others need our help, they do, but also because that generosity creates within us love for others and love for God. And as we exercise that generosity, as we make those gifts, maybe sometimes even those gifts costing us in some way, limiting us. We can't have as many Cottonwood coffees, or we can't have as many Nick's hamburgers, or we can't have as many beers at Skinner's because we're being generous to others. We lose something, but we gain love in our hearts, that habit of love for God and our neighbor. And that is a good thing, and that's a good thing to gain, and that's why we should do that generosity. So I talked about a tithe. The tithe is that mark of 10%. Tithe literally means tenth. So, tithe, to whom should you give? A great little way to think about it would be to give of that tithe, of those 10%, give 5% to your local church. Whether you're here at the Newman Center or you're graduating out somewhere, give that 5% to your local church to help take care of them. And then 4 of those remaining percents, give those to other charities that you want to support. Whether that's the charity of your alma mater, whether it's the charity of a food bank, whether it's the charity of hurricane relief or disaster relief, whether it's supporting someone who's a missionary, like with Focus, or an international missionary somewhere. But 4% towards those charitable needs. And then 1% each year for your bishop's collection. Wherever you go for your work, whether you remain in South Dakota or you go someplace else, there'll probably be an annual bishop's collection, and so you should set aside one of those 10% for that bishop's collection. I know you have many things to be grateful for. Today, spend just a few moments thanking God for 5 specific things that He's blessed you with in this day. Not general things like puppy dogs and butterflies, but the real things of love he's given you this day, whether they're specific and small things like toothpaste, or seeing a friend on campus, or profound things like a time in prayer. I hope you thank God, and I hope you're practicing that gratitude to God through your giving, to your church, to charities in need, and thus showing your gratitude to God and your love for him to your neighbor, and that you may grow in love as well.